Um, Alcohol, common in our society, right? People having drinks, driving home, things like that. Very common. It's so common. There's this thing called availability bias, I believe is what it's called. The idea that the availability or the commonness of something makes us think it's okay. For example, you're afraid to go, some people at least might be afraid to fly because it's uncommon, okay? But cars are far more dangerous than airplanes. Far more people get hurt and die in car accidents than planes. If you should be afraid of either vehicle, it's a car. But you're used to being in a car, so you're not afraid of it. People aren't used to flying. So just because we're used to alcohol doesn't mean it's okay and good. Right? And the same with porn and sexuality and divorce. Just because we're used to seeing these things doesn't mean it's okay. So there's issues in the world and in society, but it doesn't make it okay. And alcohol is one of those things. The Bible teaches that drunkenness is a sin. Okay, it doesn't say that drinking is a sin. It says drunkenness is a sin. Or if your drinking causes others to sin, then your drinking is a sin. And even though it's acceptable to have a drink, it's better not to. Right? There's never a situation where drinking is really better. I believe it's a proverb that I was talking about earlier. Like, if you got a dying person, like, alleviate their pain, give them medicine, right? And that's what they used alcohol for back then, was pain reliever. So, yeah. Drunk driving's common, not okay. As far as crime goes, most date rapes, sexual assaults, murders, and domestic violence crimes involve alcohol. And that word, most, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. That's a real lot of a lot of bad things in the world involving alcohol. Alcohol causes cancer. It's a class 1 carcinogen, like cigarettes. Right? It's up there with cigarettes. It drops men's testosterone level, and just one drink will harm your sleep quality for the night. Alcohol metabolizes into poison. So your body breaks it down into poison, and that poison goes to your brain and affects certain cells in your brain, and that's what gives you the feeling of being drunk. It is your brain being poisoned. That's what being drunk is. Habitual use causes permanent brain damage and shrinking. Even one drink a day or a Saturday night partying will cause long-term brain damage. And habits become a downward spiral. In the hospitals, we often see drinkers with liver failure. Even some of these are young people in their 30s dying of liver failure. Here's their fate. Here's what it looks like. They become very skinny and malnourished. Their gut can't take in any nutrients anymore. The alcohol destroys the gut. So they're very skinny, very small. Okay, but then they also get these big beer bellies. The idea of a beer belly, but it's fluid filling up the abdominal cavity because of the accumulation of toxins. So they're skinny and got a big gut, and this is fluid. And what we'll do, we'll stick a needle in there and let the water drain out. This yellow fluid comes out.
They also tend to swell.
They can swell. Their whole bodies can swell. Yeah, the whole body can swell, but specifically the abdomen. And we can literally, just poke a hole in that thing and it'll drain it right out. And liters. I mean, like, some people will drain off like 5 liters. That's 2.5 of the large soda bottles out of their gut. Usually we stop after about 5 or 6 liters, but and sometimes there's more than that in there too. So you're talking, some people might hold like 8 liters in there. It's uncomfortable. It affects their breathing. It's yucky. A big soda bottle, a party is 2 liters. So you're talking 2.5 of those off of some people's abdomen. They get yellow skin. They become permanently toddler-like dumb. Brain damage or brain shrinkage. Yep. We give strong laxatives to relieve the ammonia poisoning from the liver failure, and so then they're pooping themselves. And so these people are, big belly, skinny, yellow, toddler-like dumb, in diapers as they slowly pass. And it's ugly. It's terrible. So, the concept of Paul saying, like, I'd rather not drink than to cause someone to stumble.
Yes.
That's a common thing. And like I said, even though it's not a sin to drink, it's okay to have a drink. Like, getting drunk isn't okay. That means like 2 or 3, you're pushing the limits of sin. So a drink or 2 is okay. But again, like, this is something that society really struggles with, and we got to be really careful who we do that around and how how we conduct ourselves and how we talk about it, because people have issues. You know, you go and tell someone who drinks a lot, oh yeah, it's not a sin to have a drink, and they're like, I'm not in sin. You know, but if you say it's bad for you, you sound like you drink a lot, and I think you really need to do some self-reflection, then they don't walk away with this idea of, oh, it's okay for me to drink, you know. So it's better to just kind of like really promote self-reflection in people and to not stand for this, you know.
They're in denial because we try to tell them.
Yeah, a lot of them are in denial, absolutely.